Live from our cryptid camper. I'm Tom, and I'm here with my good friend Shay. And we'd like to thank you for joining us for season 3, episode number 20. Wow, of the Scare Your Pants Off Our American Road Trip. On today's episode, we've set up camp in Wisconsin. So how you doing today, Shay?
I am exhausted. How are you?
I feel you. Same way. A little rough computer issues this morning. But we're in a long weekend, so that's nice. And God, we are coming really fast on your wedding day.
Dangerously. It's like, so by the time this airs, Eric and I will have been married for 6 days. So, yeah, so right now I'm in the height of doing all the girly things that I'm apparently awful at because I don't know. I'm not I'm not good at being girly. I'm just kind of like people are like, oh, what did you do about this? Or what and I'm like I don't even know what that means. So but I'm excited. I believe all of our clothes are in. I'm just waiting for my funky socks. I like wearing funky socks, and I like having my feet be funky. Anyways, I wear Crocs usually. If you've never seen me and you don't know my feet, well, I guess if you've seen me, you know my feet. I wear Crocs all the time, but I got these really cool boots, and I have knee-high socks that I'm wearing under, like, an actually kind of pretty, but I'm obviously meifying it, skirt, and they are pink and green with Tyrannosaurus Rexes on roller skates on them, and I can't wait to friggin' wear them.
That's awesome. They sound amazing.
Yep. I think Eric's gonna win the outfit of the day though, and I know it's usually the other way around, but he got this really, really badass utility kilt. He's wearing a Guns N' Roses t-shirt, Guns N' Roses socks, Chuck Taylor type shoes, and like an overshirt. It's really freaking badass looking, and I can't wait.
Oh, nice. I can't wait. I love the funky sock. I have a friend at work, and he's just recently come to embrace funky socks, and he comes in with just some of the craziest ones. He had some the other day, as actually his wife had them made for him with his own dog on them, and I thought those were awesome. And he's got a purebred retriever, so it's a beautiful dog too. So.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I've always struggled with socks because I have very wide calves. I rollerbladed and I was very active as a kid. There's no flab at all on my calves. There's not an ounce of flab. I'm actually really most of my leg. I'm very muscular in the legs. And I am up top too. It's just hidden under my cake habit. But so like I struggle to find wide calf socks. Now, when I say wide calf socks, when you look at wide calf socks like on Amazon or even in a store or whatever, wide calf to them is 16 inches. My calves are 19 inches. And I found this website that does all sizes of socks, but they even have a category for wide calf that stretches up to 21 inches without distorting the picture. And I already have one pair, and I will tell you right now, y'all gonna be seeing some socks because I'm the happiest. And I'm actually gonna plug the website because I'm so grateful for this freaking website. It's called Sock It To Me, and it's literally how it's spelled. And we will put a link when this episode airs, and just check it out. And they have some clearance socks right now, but it's like $15 a pair. But some of the clearance are like $5 and $10, and then they have a subscription box. People, trust me, you want to be here. They have gift cards if you know someone that needs whatever. So just seriously check out the website. It's friggin' awesome.
I'm definitely gonna check it out. I'm pretty basic. I'm a black ankle sock type of guy. That's what I wear usually every day, but I go with the gold toes because I'll tell you, like with work, I was, just normal socks like the and ones or the flex fits and stuff. I get with my work because I do a lot of walking, one use socks, and it was getting insane. Just my sock budget was way too high, and I got a pair of gold toes as a gift. And I was like, oh yeah, this is it. This is it. I like Bombas too. Bomba make good socks as
Oh
well.
yeah, yep. Are they
But
the ones that give a pair every time you buy a pair?
what's that?
Are they the ones that like donate a pair if you buy a pair?
Yes, Bombas are. Yeah, they're really good. They do a lot of community outreach, which I really appreciate. But yeah, the gold toes actually last. I mean, I'll get a couple months out of them. Still not great, but it's better than a one use type of thing. So,
Yeah.
um, what else? You watch anything good recently?
So I'm not current. I'm not all the way through it, but I started watching Only Murders in the Building. I didn't. I love Paul Rudd. I love Paul Rudd. He's like literally the nicest, sweetest guy in Hollywood. And I won't give away because it's still newer, so I won't give away a lot of the stuff. But Paul Rudd's in it, and they make him very unlikable.
They
And it's,
do.
I don't like it. It's really hard. I struggle with it because he reminds. Okay, I'm gonna learn something about me today. I fucking hate Ben Stiller.
Really?
I
love
do.
Ben Stiller. I
Oh,
love Ben Stiller. I think he
I
is so funny.
I I want to. I throw up in my mouth when he's in a movie.
Really? Wow.
So it's not. And you know what? Well, I guess it is, and it isn't his fault. But he does this like screamy thing, and he speaks in like these really short little bursts like, while yelling, and for some reason that just goes up me sideways, and he does it like he does that as every character. So like my brain, being immature and stupid, associate him as a human with every role he's ever been in. And I can't, I literally can't separate them for some reason, which is funny because there are other actors that I do the exact opposite thing with. But if I hear Ben Stiller's in a movie, if I end up watching it, I promise you, it's despite the fact that he's in it, not because he's in it. And I know that's crappy, and he's probably like the nicest, sweetest guy in the world. But Paul Rudd in this show, in Only Murders in the Building, was was getting real close to a Ben Stiller vibe for me, and I was not happy. But
That
he's amazing.
that is so funny. So that's probably a first I've heard. So Ben Stiller, if you're listening to this, Shay says fuck you.
Sorry,
But
I'm sure you're really nice.
that's a first. But yeah, no, and we've had this conversation on how likable Paul Rudd is. It's to the fact that it's almost gross how likable he is. And but he does a great guy. Cobra, like Cobra, like it's so funny. And he really I didn't think it was possible. So he is I always thought he was a great actor, but he's even better than I thought because he's made me not like him. And yeah, I love that show. It is so good, that show. And God, Martin Short and Steve, they're so good together. And Selena, that trio, they work so well together in that show. And I would never thought like, oh, Selena Gomez would hold her own in a comedy with Martin Short and Steve Martin, these two like kings of comedy. But she does, and she's great. And I don't know much about her, I haven't seen her in many things, but she's great in it.
Yeah.
I love that show so much.
I actually have to bring up Ben Stiller one more time.
Oh yeah.
So, or anybody who doesn't watch this is this like little like short show, whatever you want to call it, called Between Two Ferns.
Yes.
With Zach Galifianakis. And first of all, I used to really not like Zach Galifianakis. Not the way I don't like Ben Stiller. Again, I'm really sorry, Ben Stiller. I don't know why. Not the same way I don't like Ben Stiller, but he grew on me with Baskets, and now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'll check out stuff. He's still not my favorite, but this show, he cracks me the fuck up. And what it is basically is he has different guests on it. It is kind of scripted, like they know he's going to be a really belligerent jerk to them. But it's the one with Between Two Ferns, where Zach Galifianakis is talking to Ben Stiller, might be one of the funnier ones that I've ever seen. That, and then you need to check out. I love Jennifer Lawrence. You need to check out the Between Two Ferns with Jennifer Lawrence, because that one is literally the funniest one I've ever seen, and it kills me.
Yeah, that show is great. That it's so funny and God, so good. Yeah, Ben Stiller. I've always been a huge fan, and I'm not gonna lie, I loved the Ben Stiller show back in the day. It was only one season, 13 episodes, won the Emmy, but was canceled before it even won the Emmy.
Well, yeah, because
well, and it's he did that not even a full year on SNL before doing it, and didn't like SNL, did that show, and just me personally, I think it was a bit ahead of its time because some of the writers they had on it. Bob Odenkirk was one of the head writers on that. I love Bob Odenkirk. And all the people involved, even Andy Dick was in the show, which was but yeah. Anyway, that's Ben. Shay hates Ben Stiller.
So do you know who Jeremy Piven is? I know we're like way off topic now. You know who Jeremy Piven is?
Yeah. I live in Chicago. He's from Chicago.
So in the last couple of years, I've actually come to call him Faux Rogan because for the longest time, so I liked Joe Rogan when he was when he did like Fear Factor. Mm-hmm. I liked him on like Bully Beatdown, like stuff like that. Yeah. I like Joe Rogan a lot. Then all of a sudden, I thought I started seeing Joe Rogan after maybe pudging out a little bit. And then being in movies, and he's an asshole, and he's just shitty, and I don't like the tone of his voice. And he seemed like he totally changed, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is now who Joe Rogan is. I don't like him, because that's how my brain works. I've come to find out that was never Joe Rogan, and always Jeremy Piven, who I thought was the same person. So now Jeremy Piven, to me and our family, is Faux Rogan, because I don't like Faux Rogan, but love Joe Rogan. So
that's funny, and they do look similar. They actually do, and from what I know, just living in Chicago, they're both hotheads. The stories the stories about Piven in Chicago are pretty wild. I'll just say that, having been a bartender, and he would frequent bars with John Cusack, they're all Chicago people, the Cusacks, but everybody says John Cusack is the biggest sweetheart in the world. But his buddy is not. Actually, John, just off subject, I worked at a Starbucks in Chicago too. I used to get out of bartend and hop a train and go do Starbucks in the morning, not sleep, and go work from like 5 to noon Starbucks. Wow. And who lived right across the street, Joan Cusack, would come in every morning she lived right across the street. Her kids' school were right across the street, but she lived in the neighborhood. So nicest lady. I love Joan Cusack, and she was always so nice. Always would tip, and just so polite, and just sweetheart. So this talk of Chicago makes me miss Chicago. I love living there. Oh. So, but anyway, we've gone way off the rails.
That's okay.
That's all right. So I believe you have a cryptid.
I do. I'm going to talk. So I don't know how to pronounce this place. It's Fifield. I think it's Fifield. But anyways, I'm going to talk about the gnomes of Fifield. Have you heard of that?
I have not, but I love gnomes. So here we
Yeah. So I got a funny gnome story that I'll tell after when we're having our conversation. But they look like garden gnomes. They're about 3 to 4 feet tall, and they literally garden gnomes. Like, have the tall pointy hats, the cute little beards. I'm picturing the cute little tummies sticking out of their bellies. I mean, out of their shirts, but that's in my head. And they live in the woods. A little puckwudgie-ish, if I may say so myself.
Yeah.
Now, it's believed that if you take a rock and you're like walking on the path, whatever, you take a rock and you chuck it into the woods, that they don't like that, and they will find a rock of their own. I like to think it's probably a little bit bigger, and then throw it at you. And my understanding, their aim is not horrible. Um, Now, it's also believed that you should bring candy or shiny rocks or shiny objects, I'm sure, to offer them and leave for them. Um, or they will still find rocks even if you don't throw them at them and throw them at you, or worse, they'll curse you. I see no claims that they kill anybody, so that's good. I also see no claims that people try to hunt and kill them. So go Wisconsin. Thank you. That's how you do it. Now, one honorable mention that I want to bring up is in the same spot. I feel like this could have been a hunt, but it's very short, so I don't think you're going to pick it. There was a mom and her kids. I believe it's 2 boys, if what I read is correct, but I'm not sure. They were trying to rush across the train tracks and beat the train. I don't know why they were rushing across it. I don't know what their goal was or where they were heading or what, but they did not beat the train. They were ahead. And now it is believed that if your car stalls out, or even if you just happen to stop it on the train tracks, now people don't do this. Do not stop your car on train tracks. Don't do this. It's not safe. But it's believed that if somehow that does happen, that the mom and her kids will push your car off the train tracks, so you don't also get hit by it. Short, but I love stuff like that. It's super, super interesting. It's sad, but it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I love that because it's sad because kids dying. That's just a sad, always sad, and but it's really sweet how they push your car in case anything, if it ever, God forbid, ever did happen. I love that. It's always nice when we get like sort of a haunt or something like that. That's positive, because you always hear about the negative stuff and people going, making people mad and crazy and all that. But yeah, no, sad, but really sweet, that one. I don't want to, were you done with the gnomes? I don't want to.
Yeah, that's all I had for the gnomes.
Okay. Love it. Love it. A good, gnomes are creepy, but I love, I think gnomes in yards are just hilarious. Like people that have garden gnomes and stuff, I find that to be hysterical. Yeah, no, great choice. Bring them. I love that you bring them gifts or candy or something like that. Otherwise, I have the funniest mental picture of them like throwing rocks, but like them because they're gnomes, they're just like more like grains of sand.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
So, no, I love it. Great choice. Now you said you had a gnome story.
I do. It's a quick one. So I know I've actually brought it up before. So like growing up, when I was really little, we lived with my grandmother, and she had gnomes in the house, not in the yard, all over the house, everywhere. Every room, surface, everything had a gnome on it somehow, including the bathroom. Which, when you're little, all these little peering eyes, like everywhere you are, is.
Yes.
Eventually I got used to it and it was whatever, but I understand that some people were like, oh, that's a little weird, it's a lot of eyes, and that's fine. I've noticed something very recently, in the last year, and I've really been paying attention to it, is as I walk around my house, there's a lot of friggin' gnomes.
Really?
Yeah, and I remember when and how I got them all, and it didn't dawn on me how many of them I've accumulated. But apparently I also have a gnome problem. It's hereditary. So for anybody whose parents or grandparents, in my case, loved gnomes, maybe look around your house, because you might too.
That's hysterical. That is really really funny. I've never owned a gnome. I can honestly say that, but I know that feeling of the eye. I dated a girl, and I think we've talked about this before. Her mom collected dolls, and when she had went off to college and then moved out, the mom moved a bunch of dolls into her bedroom. And I remember we went to visit, and walking in the bedroom, and I was just like,
Nope.
oh God, they're all looking at me, and I mean, some of these dogs are very, very valuable, and just like, but it was insane. It was so many, and I just like, I remember saying it, and to Dawn, and I was just like, I'm not trying to be rude, but this is creepy. And then she proceeded to tell her mom that I said that, when she got in a fight with her mom about something, and then, hey, your dolls are creepy. Even ask Tom. And I was like, why would you do that? Why? Don't do that. You want to fight with your mom? That's okay. Keep me out of it.
That's not good. That's not okay. Well, you know what else? You know what else I find kind of creepy, that, and I feel like you may have also encountered. Understand, this is, I have no, I don't care what religion anybody is. You are whatever makes you happy. You work with whatever brings you peace and makes your inner self feel good. That's what I do. That's what I want everybody to do. But my grandmother, yes, the gnome grandmother, hi Nanu, now that I'm talking about her, was very Catholic. She was like the first Eucharistic minister in her church, female Eucharistic minister in her church.
Mm-hmm.
She, prayed every night, rosary all the time. Like, she did everything all of the time. Her house, and then eventually her apartment, and then, as she got later on in life, was always had, and it feels like, and I'm probably exaggerating this, it feels like at least one Jesus picture per wall. And they were some of the eeriest, and I swear to you, they followed you. Every single eye on those pictures friggin' followed you. And it was like, and there were the crosses I don't really find super creepy, but I know that can be a thing for some people with Jesus on them. But these pictures, and they weren't like these bright, beautiful pictures. They were like these almost darker, borderline sepia looking pictures, but the eyes, whoever painted all these are spot on, because every single eye on every one of those pictures freaking followed me, and it skeeved me out so much.
That, it's funny you say that, because I remember there was one. So my similar to your my grandmother, my father's mother, very religious like that, Eucharistic minister, same thing, went to church probably almost 5 times a week or something like that, and she had pictures. But I remember like a picture, I believe it was Jesus. My parents aren't really, we're not religious, I'd go church up for weddings or funerals, or
Same.
that's about it. But it was given to my father, I guess, and it was a Jesus picture, and it looked similar to what you're saying. It was like tan and brown, not bright or vibrant, very sort of just dull, and very dull look. And I mean, even my father, who's not a religious guy, is like, well, I can't throw away a picture of Jesus just in case, just in case, It's so it would like move all around. It was in the garage at one point in a different room, but same thing. Eyes always felt like they were following you. It was very bizarre about because other than that, it was a super bland picture. And again, I think it was Jesus, or maybe it was God, or the same person. I don't know. I don't. I'm a heathen when it comes to religion. But yes, very similar. So yeah, creepy.
Yeah, depending on the religion, I don't think Jesus and God are ever the same. But depending on the religion, Jesus' role changes a little bit. I myself am pagan, so I don't. Mm-hmm. I know what I know from my grandmother, but yeah, I don't believe he's ever God.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe they're ever the same person, but Jesus is sometimes the son and sometimes not. And then it does get a little confusing, but yeah.
And then if anybody out there, if we're talking silly, correct us. Send us a message and correct us, because again, we don't know 100%. So yeah. But great choice. Loved it. Loved it. All right. Unless we have anything else on that, I'm gonna jump into the haunt.
Sounds good.
All right. So I'm not gonna lie here. I didn't realize how awesome Wisconsin was gonna be for hauntings. I don't know a lot about Wisconsin. I've driven through it, probably stopped at a gas station or a restaurant or something. But other than that, just assumed it was kind of a boring state. And I was wrong. I mean, there are tons of great haunts there. And what's cool about all of these the haunts is there's great stories tied to them, like urban legends and stuff like that. So it just makes them even that much more interesting. And like I said, I could have chosen haunted pubs, cemeteries, highways, lakes, dams, bridges. They have the Bloody Bride Bridge, the Siren Bridge. They have haunted churches. I mean, anything, haunted tunnels, anything you could think of, they have haunted. But I went with one just because of the history. I loved the history of it. I went with the Summerwind Mansion. Have you heard of that?
I haven't, but I really, really love that name.
Yeah, and it's a cool one. And I went with it, like I said, because of the history of it. And like a lot of locals would claim that it's one of the most haunted places in the whole state. So the Summerwind Mansion, which was formerly known as Lamont Mansion, is a now crumbling mansion on the shores of West Bay Lake in Via County, Wisconsin. It was constructed in the early 1900s, and the mansion was used as a fishing and hunting lodge due to its ideal location on West Bay Lake. Some claim that right from the start that this place was haunted, saying that spirits of Native Americans that once lived on this land haunt it and haunt the property. This land is supposed to hold great significance within the indigenous people's cultures. So, according to Raymond Bober, who would own this property in the 1970s. So I'm going to fast forward a little, and I'll jump. I'm going to be kind of jumping through time, but I will let you know how it worked. He owned the property in the 70s after acquiring it from his daughter and son-in-law, Arnold and Ginger Hinshaw. And according to Bober, the property is actually haunted by famed 18th century English explorer Jonathan Carver. Jonathan Carver lived from 1710 to 1780 and was best known for exploring the Great Lakes region in the 1700s and sort of mapping it. This was all new to everybody, and he was kind of like that first one to give the layout of that area. But there's no conclusive evidence to this, and a lot of people believe that Raymond Bober probably just made it up, and I'll get to that at the end, why he may have done that. It's actually pretty interesting why he may have. In the narrative that Jonathan Carver lived there, it was only first mentioned by Bober in a book he was trying to sell. So, and I'm going to get into all that after. We're going to jump to 1916 when Robert Patterson Lamont, an executive with American Steel Foundries Corporation and a future Secretary of Commerce under Herbert Hoover, purchased the building and land. The Lamont family would renovate the lodge, transforming it into a summer vacation home, and named it Lamont Mansion. Not long after the renovations were complete, did strange things start to happen. Servants working for the family started to complain of odd sounds and muffled voices and conversations. Then, one night, supposedly, a ghostly apparition appeared in the kitchen area, and this prompted Lamont to fire 2 shots into the basement door. According to the legend, the Lamont family fled the house the next morning, never to return. Like the previous ones, this is pretty hard to corroborate, but that is the legend. Then the mansion stood unused for much of the 1920s and 1930s before being sold to the Kiefer family in 1941. The Kiefers used it as a vacation home, but were never full-time residents. It is said that Mrs. Kiefer was afraid to enter the house due to all the strange activity, and she would do almost anything to avoid entering. Multiple attempts were made to sell the home, but would fail for one reason or another until the 1960s, when the Hinshaws and their purchased it and moved in. Ginger's father, Raymond Bober, would move in a short time later, although some dispute this and say that Raymond never lived in the mansion proper, but rather in the trailer on the property. Regardless, now in the 1970s is when these hauntings really began to ramp up. Well, at least according to Raymond Bober, that is. After moving in, the family began to experience all sorts of poltergeist activity. Some of the things they experienced, and this includes the 4 kids, are disembodied voices, orbs, cold spots, cold gusts of wind, streaks of light, shadow figures, full apparitions. One of those supposedly being Jonathan Carver, stuff flying through the air like plates and pictures and smashing. And it's even said they found a corpse behind a wall. And I said it's said, and it's said mainly by Bober. Things got so bad that Arnold had a nervous breakdown, and a few weeks later, Ginger attempted suicide, and the kids had to be taken away. After the suicide attempt is when Raymond Bober took over the property. Not much more to this, but by the 1980s, Summerwind Mansion was abandoned. It became a place for teens to come and party and vandalize, as we all know teens sometimes do. It then burned down almost completely to the ground in 1988. Some claim it was arson, while others, like local police, think it was an accidental fire, probably started by teens who were just partying there but didn't mean to burn it down. But most believe it burned down due to being struck by lightning. Neighbors in the area claim to have seen and heard the lightning crash into the home. I also want to make it clear that much to most of this cannot be corroborated. And in recent years, there's been sort of a tide turn on this stuff where many are not believing at least some of Bober's claims here, because he most of these claims came from a book that he penned called The Carver Effect, A Paranormal Experience. And he actually used a pen name. He called himself Wolfgang von Bober for this book. And so many believe it's a cash grab by Raymond, and he was actually using the book to set up the property as a paranormal tourist attraction for some point in the future. Now, this obviously did not come to fruition, and it's not, that's not 100% fact. That is just a belief that's come about in more recent years. And like I said, it didn't come to fruition for various reasons. And then we know that it burnt down. And I'd just like to mention that, and this is kind of what I believe, I believe why this area seems to be so active. It's come out in recent years that Native American tribes actually believe this area to be a spot where the veil between life and death is very thin. And that's why there's so many paranormal experiences in this area. And that is the Summerwind Mansion.
So, okay, that was a lot. So I want to make sure I have my notes right before I comment on something.
Mm-hmm.
The family that had the mom that tried
Suicide. Yep.
suicide is that Boober's daughter?
Yes, that's
Okay.
Boober's daughter and son-in-law. Yep.
Okay. So I'm actually going to make a correlation that's not a Wendigo for anybody that's wondering what's about to happen. Um, no Wendigo correlation, but another one. So in this house, they found there was a corpse behind the wall, and for whatever reason, both parents who um, have almost like a mental snap, and it seems like probably it didn't sound like it was super far away from each other, that they both kind of had whatever happened, and then the kids got taken away. That whole story feels like their story feels to me like it had potential to go very Amityville.
I can definitely see that. It's I was thinking it as I was researching it. I was thinking it as I was just talking. It has the Amity. I like that better. I was thinking this has the makings of a movie. That's the family. Aspects of The Shining in it as well. So, but I love the Amityville. That's a better correlation in my opinion.
Which also kind of maybe gives a little more validity to he may have been doing some of this for attention too, because it does sound very blockbuster. It sounds like a fantastic horror movie, and yeah. When you keep every time you say, oh God, what's his last name? No, it's out of my head again.
I believe it's pronounced Bober, but it could be Boober.
All right, I'm hearing Boober. I mean, I'm not hearing Boober, but I immediately am thinking Boober from Fraggle Rock, because how is he not one of your favorite Fraggles, you know? But it's every time you're saying Bober, I'm thinking immediately I'm picturing a Fraggle, and it's Boober. So the other thing, and I feel like I'm gonna sound like the get off my lawn old coot when I say this. People broke into this house and had a party that caused a fire. So they trespassed. They broke in, they trespassed. They were somewhere they shouldn't have been. I know kids are kids. I'm not saying I'm innocent, but something they did while doing something they weren't supposed to be doing caused that house to burn down, possibly. How is that not arson?
So, I will say, and I don't know if this actually matters, but by the time they were partying, it was already a crumbling home. It was already had been out of use for a while. Windows had been out and floors ripped up and stuff like that. I don't know if that really matters because it's still trespassing and it still would be, a fire. It was, so I guess it would be arson. It would be, I guess, accidental arson because, if they were having a fire sitting around, maybe it was a chilly night or something, but it's arson. Yes, for sure. And probably trespassing.
At least a couple other things, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, no, that was a really good one. That was I still love the name of it. Summerwind. Is that what it was? Summerwind Mansion?
Summerwind Mansion. Yeah, no, like I said, it was just the history. I mean, going back to sort of Native Americans and just the importance of the land and their culture. And then, like I said, it's this. I mean, if it's not true, I mean, Bober does have a flair for the dramatic. He does. I'm curious to check out that book just to kind of see. And it's kind of weird, the corpse thing. It was like, they threw that in, but in every resource it's like they just kind of glossed over it. That's a big deal. A corpse comes out of a wall. That's a huge deal. And they were like, and there was a corpse on the wall. and moving on, that's fine. It was very bizarre. But yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Like I said, I can't wait for our next road trip to Wisconsin. I was so pleasantly surprised by how cool Wisconsin is. But anyway, unless we have anything else, I believe you have a strange encounter for us.
I do. So my strange encounter is multiple instances centered around around one guy. So I think I'm going to talk about Bill Benson. Have you heard about Bill Benson?
No, I don't think I have.
So Bill Benson is my strange encounter for. That's not a good way to put that at all. Bill Benson is the subject of my strange encounter this time around. So he owns a place called Benson's Hideaway, and he calls it the UFO capital of the world. So sorry, Roswell. There's a timeline. So in researching this, we got so lucky. There's literally like a perfect timeline, and it's so detailed, and there was so much information out there. I'm going to go through the timeline real quick.
Okay.
It started in 1947 when crop circles appeared in an oat farm on Ludwig Farm. From 1959 to 1963, Bill Benson witnessed a light phenomenon, and that's the quote, in Vietnam while he was serving. Now, back in Wisconsin, multiple witnesses see a circular object hovering over a pasture scaring a herd of cows. So that's 1985. In 1988, Bill Benson and a friend of his held the first ever UFO Days event, DAZE, not DAYS. Now, in 1995, a crop circle appeared in a marshy area of Long Lake near Benson's Hideaway. So that's his restaurant museum thing. In 1988, Bill Benson and 5 others witnessed a large orange ball hovering over Dundee Mountain. It vanishes when 4 fighter. I said I wasn't going to do it too. I'm like, I'm not going to say fighter. I'm not going to say fighter. Okay. I'm going to start that one again. In 1988, Bill Benson and 5 others witnessed a large orange ball hovering over Dundee Mountain. It vanishes when 4 fighter jets fly after it. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Now, in 2000, UFO Days attendees witnessed 2 pyramid-shaped objects over Long Lake that join together into a diamond shape and tumble off silently into the sky. I like that image. I feel like that really paints a good picture. Now, cool. Right? In 2002, UFO Days attendees witnessed 6 glowing and flashing orbs in the sky. In 2004, UFO Days attendees witnessed a triangle craft move over their heads with a Y-shaped pattern on the underside. Now that's the timeline. The Hideaway is a UFO-based restaurant / pub with a lot of UFO memorabilia, almost some considered to be some sort of like a hotel. One of the things he has in his little museum area is a baby alien in a jar that was gifted to him and believed to have come from Area 51.
Ooh.
Now, I'm sorry if I just gave away a big secret. If that's the case, Roswell, please let them keep it. And then alien activity is theorized to come from a possible secret alien base, you're going to like this, under Mount Dundee.
Ooh, alien base.
Yep, that's what I have for my Bill Benson strange encounter story.
Okay, so first of all, I love the timeline. Just how it's broken up like that. That makes it sort of easier to envision in your brain. You know, it's broken down nice, like an outline. So, Yeah, UFO capital. That's it's a bold take that he takes, but if all these are true, I can see why. I mean, 1947, we had the crop circles. 1959, the 1963 light phenomena in Vietnam, almost as if it's like, it's tied to Benson a little bit. Then, sorry, I try to take a lot of notes here. So I love the fighter jets flying after it. That is cool, and yeah, that just it gives a air of validity to it. Then I really like how we're starting, they start to see ships that are pyramid, triangle, combining diamond shape. That's something I've been seeing more and more in these UFO tales, is that, we've come to sort of think of UFOs as the disc. That's sort of, the disc flip shaped thing. But in more recent ones, I've been seeing a lot of, triangle shaped, pyramid shaped ones. And it would it makes sense. We're constantly evolving technology, so it would make sense that aliens, if they are out there, their technology would be evolving, and maybe the disc was at first the best way to travel, and now they've found that a triangle, diamond, pyramid shaped is a better layout or whatever for a ship. I just found that really, really interesting. Love crop circles, even though I know a lot of them are man-made. Not all can be proved one way or another. Going over the cows, steering the cows, that's a funny mental, like, I could see that in a movie.
Yeah, same.
Like Independence Day or something like that, totally. But my favorite part, the alien base. Alien base under Mount Dundee. I don't know if you remember. I believe it was when we did Alaska.
Ooh, I know what you're gonna say.
The alien base that we talked about, or I had talked about, and then in it, I believe it was claimed that there was 4 alien bases underneath mountains throughout the world at that time. And I remember I had the 3 mountains, but couldn't find anything on the 4th. And I remember actually during the episode, you were jumping on Google and trying to find the 4th mountain, and you couldn't find it. Now, I don't remember if Mount Dundee was one of the ones I mentioned, but I wonder if that was one of the 4. If it was, and it was the 4th that we couldn't find. Or it could have been one of the 4 that I mentioned, and I just don't remember saying Mount Dundee, but I don't think that was one of them. So,
it doesn't ring a bell, and that's pretty wild, actually. That's super interesting. That's cool.
I love when they tie back to episodes like that. I really do. But yeah, no, that was a great choice. I mean, everything about it. And like I said, I really love just the timeline aspect of it. I love lists and stuff like that. I'm a big listicle person, where it's like, it's so easy, and it makes sense in my brain without really having to think about it. So great choice.
Same, actually. I'm the same way.
Fantastic choice. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, do we have anything else for him this week?
I think that's all I got.
Yeah, that was a good episode. All right. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to tune in next week when we set up camp in North Dakota. Until then, happy camping.
Bye.